you're looking for a new invoice financing solution for your recruitment business, I highly recommend Zodec. Zodec have a relationship-based, courteous approach and a professional approach to working with their clients. So whether you're a startup or an established business, they offer you a range of financial and back office support solutions that will suit your business and are specific to your requirements and your goals. Whether you're in the tech sector, education, recruitment, manufacturing, engineering, whatever sector you're in, they look after the majority of them. So get in touch with Zodec at zodec.com or on the link below. Welcome back to another episode of Rec Talk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, CEO, founder of RecTools.io. RecTools, as you know by now, is the largest whole-of-market directory of all suppliers into your recruitment business. Most of our recruitment agencies outsource as much as we possibly can. We all have accountants. We all have, payroll companies like umbrella companies, and maybe our timesheet software is outsourced. We look at tech. We quite enjoy tech. We use CRMs. We use websites. We use all forms of kind of candidate generation tools. One of the things that actually is on the rise, and we've said in the previous episodes, is actually that this particular sector finally has a seat at the table within the recruitment sector, and that's marketing. I know, yet another episode on marketing. But one of the things that we are very, very interested in the recruitment space is looking at outsourcing our marketing right now. So that brings me on to my guest today, which is Harry Oakley from Thrive Recruitment Marketing. Thrive Recruitment Marketing are a market-leading sort of recruitment marketing outsourcing business. But they do a lot more than just the usual kind of stuff that some of their competitors maybe get involved in. And one of the things that we were speaking off camera about was the automation piece and the use of AI within not just a content creation, but actually enriching things like database outreach and sort of performance. So to kind of pull that apart, tell us a bit more about Thrive, tell us about your background and why you're so into this sort of stuff and what keeps you in this crazy industry.
Yeah. Well,
Harry, appreciate you giving us your time today.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah, so my name's Harry Oakley. I'm the marketing automation manager at Thrive, part of the sort of senior management team, and I'm sort of leading our sort of approach to sort of automation, AI, and sort of data amongst our sort of clients. So Thrive is a outsourced marketing solution for the recruitment industry, and we are really sort of ROI-led, strategy-led. So if you're sort of a recruitment agency that's sort of looking for like return on investment through things like automation and tech, and that's sort of like where we sit in the market. So yeah, the automation stuff is it's really interesting, to be fair. And I think the first for those, I take it maybe a lot of your listeners are probably already quite aware of how the automation stuff, but essentially.
To an extent, yeah. I think the issue is within the recruitment world is that there are a lot of, and you'll know this, right? And I'm not throwing shade at anyone in particular, but there's a lot of people who claim to know exactly what it is or how it works, and those people tend to be very vocal on platforms like LinkedIn, right?
Exactly.
But seem to be sharing just the wrong advice or the wrong perspective of what automation and AI could do for your business.
Yeah.
I get asked all the time to sort of recommend products and stuff, and it's like it's not a case of going off the shelf product A works really well for you in this sector, right? But yeah, it's kind of got a bit of a bad rap as well, AI and automation.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people using AI and automation in a way that's sort of like trying to like really ramp up scale, not really thinking about things like customer experience and how it impacts your brand, sort of stuff. But I mean, essentially for me, automation has sort of these three pillars, and sort of any automation you do needs to satisfy maybe one of these three pillars. So that's sort of data integrity. So our automations needs to be keeping our data clean, keeping our data healthy, and there needs to be sort of running that in the background for our business. The second is customer experience, and that's probably the main one, is it needs to give a really good, authentic customer experience. There's a lot of automation, which is very much sort of send to all, bulk send. You get these sort of like job spec emails, these most valuable candidate emails, just like get it out of the whole database, and in the hope that you get maybe like one job order back. Because if you think about the sort of a recruitment leader and their sort of KPIs, they are that one job order, that is success for them. But if they've sent that one email to say 50,000 contacts in their database, then the impact that has on their send reputation of their domain. It's putting their whole...
That's also 49,999 people who have kind of like potentially looked at it and gone, the hell is this?
Exactly. So you're damaging your relationship with your like customers, and you're also damaging your sort of technical reputation on those sort of email inboxes. So that's really important. And then the third, and probably actually equally as important aspect of automation, that what it should be doing for your business, it should be driving productivity. So you should be looking at your business and saying, okay, where are the pain points? Like, what are the things my consultants have spent loads of time doing, but not getting anything back from, not seeing any sort of actual return from? So just looking at those parts of it and saying, what can I automate? Like, what can I take away from the consultants to give them more time to fill roles and find candidates and build relationships with new customers?
Yeah, fair. And do you think then there's an element of actually people looking at it? Because I would say we're kind of, in terms of understanding or adoption of AI, we're approaching a point where people are a lot more open to it now, right? But I think what people see it as is maybe where the problem lies, in that they're trying to look at it as a sort of a magic pill or like a magic wand, right? The silver bullet, right? If I can use AI and automation, if I can use automation to reach out, normally I only manage to get hold of 1,000 people, but I could actually contact 10,000 people. That's a success. But they're not going that step further, I don't think, where you can kind of go, okay, but rather than reaching 10,000 people, you can reach 1,000 people 10 times.
Yeah.
1,000 different people 10 times, right?
Exactly.
So it comes down to your kind of segmentation of your markets and that kind of thing. So you're trying to be relevant rather than just maximize output.
Yeah, and that segmentation piece, that is really key to getting it right. So traditionally, you may think of segmentation as things like, job title, company, industry, those sort of firmographic and demographic data points. But it's actually much, much deeper than that. And now, using the technology right, you can really drill down into the intent of your customer. You can look at the things they're reading on your website. You can look at the content they're engaging with. There are even tools out there that will follow them around the web and see what topics they interact with other places. So you can really drill down into these sort of micro groups of people that are interacting with certain pain points that you're talking about. And then you can really tailor your message specifically to those very distinct groups.
Yeah, because historically you're absolutely right. You'd look at those sorts of demographics and you'd create a persona of your ideal kind of customer. And generally speaking, most businesses, and certainly in sort of a niche recruitment business, kind of be like, we have like 3 or 4 ICPs. Whereas actually using some of these large language models, you can really kind of build out a robust customer profile and understand kind of, okay, to sell to this person, I don't need to change my proposition completely. I just need to come at it from a slightly different angle because that's the stuff that these guys engage with. Whereas this group of customer does this. And actually sit there and look at your market and be like, okay, we've got potentially up to 10 like ICPs now that we could go after.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and that journey doesn't have to be so linear either. So using the automation, you can adjust that journey. So if you've got a journey of, say, I don't know, over 6 months, you've got sort of 12 or so nurture emails. Those emails don't have to be so linear. So one contact goes one way, one contact goes another way. If they engage with a topic so much, then you can send them on a different branch and then they can get different types of content. So you don't have to be so linear, and you can really tailor that journey. And you're sort of creating a personal journey, but you're doing it on a much larger scale that a consultant will be able to do, sat at a desk typing out individual emails.
So let's go through that model then. So you say nurture emails. First of all, let's define what is a nurture email to sort of within this context.
Well, if we think about the sort of like general marketing funnel, if you've got the sort of top of funnel awareness, middle consideration, bottom decision. So you're sort of looking at your database, you've done that segmentation piece already, and then you're sort of just trying to add value to them. Not in a salesy way, but trying to do it in a way where you're trying to evoke their intent or gauge their intent or their engagement. So you might do like a blog about, reducing the cost to hire in IT or whatever. And that, okay, well, if an IT manager has clicked on that link and read that piece of content, okay, well, actually, this IT manager, they must be having problems with the cost of hire in their business. So then you can tailor your sales messaging as sort of a step 2. So that model, sort of that overarching content, gauges their sort of pain points and their engagement. And then from there, you can drill down through other automations, that sort of targeted sales message.
Okay. And so then, what's the step to revenue then through all of this? Is it just sort of going with them on this journey, seeing kind of where they're going, what they're engaging with, and then hitting them with the close of, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is a solution to your problem that you've kind of hinted that you have along the way.
Yeah, I think the key picture understanding of this is that the automation isn't doing all of the work. So you still need that human at the end. So what it's really doing is it's creating efficiencies in your business. So you can take, say you have 100,000 candidates in your database. There's no way a consultant can sit there and go through 100,000 candidates. One, that's a lot of candidates. Two, is a lot of those candidates going to be out of date. There's going to be like, you're not going to know if they're going to bounce or etc. So you're going to waste a lot of time going through those one at a time. So what the sort of automation can do is you can take those candidates, nurture them over a long period of time, and then over the following months, the engaged candidates will slowly drip through, and then you'll create a much shorter. We think of like a call sheet. You think of a much shorter, more engaged call sheet that's already warm, already has intent. So your consultants are no longer doing that sort of cold outreach stuff. And it works with candidate and client side as well.
Or just standard database cleansing stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the historical, hey, you're on our database, are you still looking for work and that kind of thing, which I know agencies that send those, right? They'll go through sort of once every 6 months, pull off a list of candidates they haven't touched base with at all in the last running 12 months, and just fire out mail shots saying, you still looking, watch the situation. If you are still looking, send us an updated CV so we can update your file.
Exactly. But I mean, you can bake that into more sophisticated, more targeted campaigns. So you can run that. You could have that automated self-update piece, which is something we will do for a lot of our clients, where once those candidates have shown some intent, and okay, well now we need to make sure the data in the database is relevant, then we can get the candidate through automation to self-update. But yeah, I mean, we're going back to the AI point, and then back on the data cleanliness point is what we were talking about earlier before we came on Canva, is that AI is no longer just about content creation. That was sort of its first sort of go-to-market piece, if you will, and now sort of probably at the top of the bell curve in terms of people adopting AI to create content. But AI is probably really early on in its journey in actually what else it can do. So things like using AI to enrich your database and using sort of AI to sort of analyze the domain, figure out how many people were there, figure out sort of what sectors they recruit into and all this sort of stuff. And it just goes back to that piece where it's just taking all this stuff that the consultant will be sat there in the CRM going, right, well, I've got a new client. Okay, I'll go on LinkedIn and find out what they do and how many people work there and what's their sort of USP and all this sort of stuff, so they can build this sort of idea of this company they want to go after. All that can be done through automation. So all the consultant could essentially have is a list of really warm people that are already engaged with the brand, and they have all the data and they have all the information.
But really, the consultant still needs that information, though, right? Because the consultant still really needs to kind of see for themselves what they do and that kind of thing. You can't just have a validated call sheet to go, here's our ideal customers that we want to work with. Just start bringing through that.
Yeah, but that's the point. So they don't necessarily have to go out and find the information themselves. So that you can use sort of AI and automation to bring that to the consultants. It's sort of like it's like 1%. Like if you can make like 1% improvements 100 times, then you're going to see that sort of like massive change.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. So rather than kind of giving the consultant an opportunity to maybe skip through, or I won't check that on this occasion because the last 3 times I've checked it hasn't really made a difference. It's kind of like, here's a group sheet of the analysis is done. This is the client. There's how many people they got in the business. This is the last few times they hired. This is the last few people to join the business as per LinkedIn. Here's the last few people to leave the business as per LinkedIn. Potential gaps within here, and here. Here's their turnover. Here's their accounts filed. Here's a trend. Here's like a one-stop crib sheet of analysis on this customer or prospect customer. Use that data to, decide how you figure your next conversation.
Yeah, and all that. So that research stage of the sort of consultants job. I think looking at the sort of recruitment that's out there now and the CRMs, that may not be possible right now, but there's no reason why AI can't be doing that in the future. And the recruitment's job is simply to build relationships and to fill roles, and all the sort of admin and grunt work that they. So, I mean, if you imagine you're a sort of consultant and you've got sort of like a hit KPI, you've got to hit bill a certain amount, and you've got to spend half your week cleaning up the database. You're not going to do that because you want to go out there and make money.
Well, this is it. And then as recruitment business owners, we're looking at our team going, bloody hell, we're spending half of our day or half of our week just cleansing data that's in there. And that just seems a bit admin-y. There's no reason to do that.
Exactly.
Talk to me about then, because the kind of candidate stickiness then, because you mentioned that a couple of times. Candidate journey is obviously really important and that kind of thing. So how is automation and AI improving that journey from a candidate point of view? Because is it, and this is me just playing devil's advocate here, but is it not the case that the candidate's just receiving the same email, just in a slightly different way? The email is still, hey, you registered with Total Jobs years back, or you applied for a job via this platform through us years ago. We didn't do anything with you, but we captured your details, and now we want to know if you're still looking for a job.
I think the key part of that is it's not who you're sending to, it's who you're not sending to, which is really important.
Okay, cool.
So you've got all these candidates, and you're saying, okay, well, those emails they're not that great to receive, and they're a bit like, another email, want me to update my CV. But if you're a candidate who's active in the market, but you're not necessarily, that's not necessarily showing to the consultant doesn't know you're really active, you're sort of casually looking maybe. That's where that automation piece, engaging with the different, so we'll send them some content which is about the pain points of looking for a job in certain sectors, or the economic struggles of certain sectors, etc. And they start to open and engage with that content. Then we can sort of say, well, this person here might not be applying for jobs on our website, but they're interested in content which is demonstrating their intent to change in a role at some point in the future. So we can create those really hyper segmented lists, and we can send that sort of updated CV email to those people, because those people probably want to receive that email. And then the other 99,000 contacts who aren't in the market, they're not going to get that email.
So what would you recommend with those then? So you've got a database of 10,000 candidates, and you've sent out you've run this automation for a period of sort of 3 months, and you've established that actually 9,000 of those are just not engaged, not interested, and your CRM is basically just a data dump. What would you recommend at that point then, if you're a recruitment business owner? Are you going, I need to move these 9,000 out?
Yeah, so there's a few different things you can do at that stage. So, I mean, the most drastic, and probably for the very least engaged people that have been in there for a couple of years, have never opened anything, never spoken to anyone, I mean, those, you can just chop those right out, right? So, but through the automation and by setting up sort of these rules and processes in the back end, you can do things like you can adjust the time between emails. You can so adjust time between emails. You can change the rate at which emails are sent. So you're not sending 9,000 every Monday. You're sending so many every hour, like 30 or 40 every hour over sort of like a 6-month period. So, and that all comes back down to that sort of email deliverability piece and how important that is to your business. I mean, many people think of that as like sort of, marketing, what about really spam again? And it's like, well, actually, your ability to do business over email is dependent on how well received you are as a business by those inboxes.
How you're categorized.
There's so many recruitment agencies we talk to are like, emails just keep going to spam, and like we can't reach our candidates. Well, it's because there's probably a consultant somewhere in the business that one day went, I need to fill that role. I'm just going to send this email to 100,000 people. And at that point, you were then penalised so much that it impacts the rest of the business.
We had a live example of exactly that in my recruitment agency. Exactly that. I consistently told the guys, yes, you can send up to 500, but I really don't want you to. Right? There should not be 500 potential candidates for your job on our database. We work in 100%. Multiple different sectors, where we had accountancy and finance, industry and commerce. We had accountancy and finance sort of practice recruitment. We had an engineering division, which again is subdivided into a load of different stuff. And then we had a tech and digital division, which again is divided into a load of stuff. There is no situation where you should have 500 candidates come up on a search that you email out to or that you message out to. So, for those exact reasons, blacklisted on emails, you'll impact the rest of the business. Don't do it. Take 2 weeks off on holiday, come back. And it's just, what's the point? What's the point? We've been sending daily mail shots, don't get anything. No one even responds. And I'm like, well, what's going on? I send an email to a client. They go, no, I didn't receive anything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in your spam. Oh, it's in my spam. Why did it end up in there? Oh, I don't know. I'll look into it. Turns out my business partner, while I was abroad, was going, don't care. Just send a shopping list mailer out to everybody. Here's all the roles that we're hiring for. Register with us today. So it was a candidate email, a client email, and a register now email all in one, sent out to the entire database.
Yeah.
And then he was on the phone to our CRM provider at the time, job adder, going, you guys have screwed our emails up. And I'm just like, this is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, it's the job adder piece. They have a very small part to play that they will do the tech setup part of deliverability.
Yeah.
You talk to them, they manage that, and that's fine. But then 90% of it is how you actually behave in that email landscape. Is going to really impact what you can do over email. And we're now in this sort of, this year was big for this. With the Google's new changes to Google and their spam rates, their spam complaint limit of 0.3%, is we've now entered probably like an age of sort of much more compliant email, and it's only going to get tighter and tighter. If you think about these big inboxes, the end customer isn't us, the business is sending emails. It's the recipient, it's the people who are using those inboxes as email addresses. So they want to create these really clean, spam-free experiences for their customers. And they're just going to be, now we're going to enter this cycle now. Okay, well, Google has cleaned up and there's not a spam in Google. So then Microsoft will follow and get a bit cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. So eventually we're at this point where it's sort of like you have to be super clean, super relevant.
Spam just will not go through.
Just will not get through,
Interesting. But do you think then the rise in things like this automation and sort of AI tools, surely that's going to play a part in sort of almost the demise of that, right?
Yeah, but it'll be the recruitment agencies that are doing it right that will benefit from it, because you're going to get imagine you've got all your recruitment agencies out there, the 80% that are they're using AI to generate hundreds of thousands of emails, they're going out at scale, and they're just sending. Eventually, they're not going to be able to operate like that. So the 20% of recruitment agencies are going to hang on. We're just going to really focus on keeping our data clean. We're going to focus on our segmentation. We're going to focus on really low volume, but really highly relevant stuff. They're the ones that are going to be left at the end of the day. That's the only players in the game, because they follow the rules.
But the reality is you can still hit the same volume, right? So in terms of, if I want to message out to 1,000 candidates on my database, I can still message out to 1,000 candidates on my database. The difference is that I'm doing it as, right, these 10 will engage with this sort of content. These 250 will engage with this sort of content. These 200, I'm not entirely sure what they're going to engage with, so maybe I'll go with something a bit looser, or look for a further segmentation within, or a trend within these. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can still hit them. It's just the difference is you're not pressing one button and going, mail shot sent for the day. Now I'll get on the phone.
Exactly. So to illustrate that point, let's say you've got 10,000 contacts, and let's say 1,000 of those are out and would engage your content in some way. If you can identify who those 1,000 are as best as possible first, then your sort of engagement relative to what you're sending is going to be so much higher. And then that's where you start to see yourself looking more favorably by the inbox. What they're really looking for is saying, you send an email out to Microsoft, and Microsoft says, okay, does anyone want to receive this email? Is anyone clicking on the link? Right? And if no one is, then okay, well, next time this person sends an email, it's probably not going to be too relevant to this person, so I'm going to put it in spam. So what you really want to do is identify those engaged groups, make super relevant content, get that engagement up, and then you'll start to look more favorably by the inboxes. You'll start to land in that more primary inbox. And then another part of this is really important is that send volume, but it's keeping that send volume consistent. So there's no reason why you can't send several thousand emails a day, as long as you've built up to it slowly over a period of time and naturally. So if you're sort of sending sort of a couple of hundred emails a day, and at one day you send 10,000 emails, that is a sort of suspicious from the inbox perspective. about that sort of suspicious activity is going to really heavily penalise. Okay, well, actually, it sent 10,000 emails, but they've only sent it 500 a day. So then next time you go to send that 500 a day, they're going to continue to be penalised. So it's a very long process trying to get that reputation right, and you have to.
So what if you screwed it up though? How do you get out of spam jail?
That's a very good question. It's very difficult to get out of spam jail.
Here's a chance to win, some new business, right?
So the first thing is to check that all the technical setup is correct.
Okay.
So all your DNS stuff, your SPF records, your DMARC, all that, there's all those sort of little records that tell the inbox you are who you are. Make sure that is right, and make sure it helps from a technical point of view. And then it's just about sort of raking it all back in again, and sort of slowly building that reputation back up. It's sort of
so there isn't a magic fix to it. Obviously.
Oh, there's definitely not a magic fix. Well, there might. It depends on the problem. So there might be a magic fix. It's a SPF wasn't set up properly and everything's landing in spam. Or that may be the magic fix. But there's so many things that impact it. There's like hundreds and hundreds of different aspects of email that could impact where you land in the inbox. That you really just have to sort of like really rein it in and then build back out slowly.
So is there a way to know that you're in spam jail?
Yes, there's
short of the fact that none of my candidates or clients ever respond to my emails.
Yeah, sure of that. Yeah, but there is some various bits of text. Like Google has has like Google Postmaster tools, which will tell you how much spam you're getting, all that sort of stuff. But generally, a lot of the talking about the recruitment industry, a lot of the tech that the recruiters are using, a lot of the sort of big serial notices, they won't be telling you where your inbox is landing. But there are tools out there where it'll give you like a list of like dummy emails. And you can send your email to that, and it'll say, okay, well, 70% of them will land in junk, 20% of them will land in primary. All of the ones you send to Microsoft, they're going to land in junk. If you send it to Gmail, they're going to land in other. So there are things like that you can do to test the content. But generally speaking, if you're getting that segmentation piece right and you're being relevant, then you'll repair that reputation naturally anyway.
But this is the point, though, isn't it? That if you don't. It's one of those situations where, no. Is that better?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. It's all right. I'll put an advert in there, don't worry. Spam jail. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll try and find some tech product for that. I'll clap back in there. Yeah, so in terms of the sort of, there are some businesses who, have been ignorant to this, have been operating in a certain way, and it's almost like, oh crap, do I just set up a new domain now and start again because I just can't fix this? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that is
because it's not as though you could just email Microsoft and be like, look, Fairs, we've operated in a really dumb way, but since listening to this podcast, like we get it, we'll change our ways. Please. Take us out of prison.
Well, that's the trouble with setting up a new domain is that Microsoft favors your top level domain. So if it's like, okay, we'll just run off a subdomain or we'll just set up like an alternative name or something, that then just throws up a whole lot more problems because Microsoft, one, will favor your top level domain, but also it will then look at things like, okay, well, they're sending from recruitmentbusiness.com, but the links are going to recruitmentbusiness.co.uk or like recruitment business second domain.co.uk sort of thing. So then you've got this whole other issue. And I think the best thing you can do is just to sort of rein it in and just, okay, well, we've been behaving like this for a long time. It's not great. Let's just really change our process and change how we approach it and sort of embed that within the business and just sort of slowly build it back over time.
What's been the adoption rate then from your client sort of base and customer base when you are having these conversations with them? Because I mean, you're almost telling business owners that everything they've done up until this point is now wrong. You need to do it in a different way, and there are more effective ways. And then you're talking to them about automation and AI, which for a lot of them is a scary kind of, oh shit, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's been your adoption rate in terms of this advice and stuff? What are some of the objections that you guys come across?
Well, I think we're actually the recruitment industry is probably in a place now where it's really started to adopt sort of better practices and automation. So a lot of recruitment agencies that we're dealing with are really already on board with this.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not really finding that people aren't adopting it. It's just sort of like they don't necessarily understand all the technical aspects or like what it is actually, what actually that new process is going to be. So a lot of the agencies we're working with know that they want to use automation. They know they want to send in better emails. They know they've heard about these new Google rules, and it's just sort of like, okay, well, how do we go about doing that?
So they're coming to you with a kind of, we're already informed now, but let's now find a solution rather than a.
Yeah, I think a lot
sell
of the
me the
industry
idea,
is already informed, and we're at the top of that bell curve. And the recruitment agencies out there that are still acting like it's 2005. But there's a lot of recruitment agencies now that are really taking all this on board, and they're doing like really exciting stuff in terms of automation.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, fair. Right. So then, in terms of the listeners to this podcast, majority of whom are business owners and stuff, how do they get in touch with you guys? Are you taking on new clients at the moment?
We're 100% taking on new clients.
I've never had a guest say no to that. Weirdly, I'm full. Don't.
Yeah, so we're not. Do come to us, but yeah. So they could reach Thrive on thrivearmo.com,
Okay.
or they can reach me on LinkedIn. If you just search Harry Oakley Thrive on LinkedIn, I'm sure you'll find me.
You'll be in the description. Don't worry.
Yeah. And yeah, that's it really.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Final thoughts. Where do you think this is all heading? Are we going to be in an industry where there'll be recruiterless recruiters?
No, I don't think there's going to be recruiterless recruiters. I think we're going to be an industry where we're going to have better recruiters because AI and automation is enabling them to be better recruiters. And the agencies that aren't adapting sort of automation or AI in their business are going to slowly be left behind over the next couple of years.
No, I completely agree. No, I think that's a good place to leave it. I appreciate that, mate. This has been really fun. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And thank you for listening, liking, subscribing, all the rest of the stuff that you guys do. We'll be back again next week with a new episode.